Welcome to Stories from the Cabin. Come on in. Do you miss going to the library? I do. Do you miss story time from the library? I do. So you know what we decided? We decided that we're going to read stories from the cabin until the libraries are open. Shall we get started? There you are. Our first story is Pinkalicious, Pinky Promise. And this is for Mia, and it's written by Victoria Kahn. Pinkalicious, Pinky Promise. I was making a picture for my teacher, Mr. Pushkin. I ran out of my favorite color. I asked my friend Allison if I could borrow her paints. Just don't use up all the pink, she said. I won't, I said. I promise. I worked very hard on the picture. It looked good. I gave the picture to Mr. Pushkin. What a terrific painting, he said. It's so pink. You mean it's pink-terrific, I said. Allison was coming over to get her paint set. Some of the colors were empty. Uh-oh, what was I going to do? I'm sorry, Allison, I said. By mistake, I used up all the pink. Allison frowned. You also used up all the red and the white, she said. Well, red and white make pink, so it's all pink, I said. Allison was angry. You said you wouldn't use up all the pink paint, said Allison. You promised. I'm really, really sorry, Allison, I said again. Allison took her paint set and walked away. Allison didn't sit with me at lunch. I sat alone. I ate my jelly sandwich. Jelly does not taste pink-a-yummy if you're eating it all by yourself. Then I thought of something. I went back to the classroom. I made Allison a card to apologize. This card is very blue, I said to Allison. There were no other colors. Almost everybody is out of pink. Thanks for the card, Allison said. It's not just beautiful, it's bluetiful. Allison, I asked, can we still be friends? Of course we're friends, Pinkalicious, Allison said. I'm sorry I got angry about the paint. I won't get so mad next time. I was so happy. Let's play this weekend, I said. When Allison came over to play, I had a surprise for her. I gave Allison a new tube of paint. It's not even my birthday, said Allison. And that's not all, I said. Guess what? We got ice cream. We shared a pink peppermint ice cream sundae with raspberry swirl syrup. The sundae had 2 cherries on top, so we could each have our own. Some things are just too hard to share. Let's always be friends, Allison said. Yes, that would be fantastic, I said. Let's make it a pinky promise, we said at the same time. Pinky promises last forever, I said happily. That's the end of this book. Did you enjoy that? I did. The next book was given to me by my friend Seth. And Seth was very generous, and he gave me lots of books to read to you. The first book we're going to read is The Wonky Donkey, and it's written by Craig Smith. The Wonky Donkey. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs. He was a wonky donkey. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs and 1 eye. He was a winky wonky donkey. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs, 1 eye, and he liked to listen to country music. He was a honky-tonky, winky-wonky donkey. Yee-haw! I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs, 1 eye. He liked to listen to country music, and he was quite tall and slim. He was a lanky, honky-tonky, winky-wonky donkey. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs, 1 eye. He liked to listen to country music. He was quite tall and slim, and he smelt really, really bad. He was a stinky, dinky, lanky, honky, tonky, winky, wonky donkey. Oh. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs, 1 eye. He liked to listen to country music. He was quite tall and slim, and he smelled really, really bad. And that morning he got up early and hadn't any coffee. He was a cranky, stinky, dinky, lanky, honky, tonky, winky, wonky donkey. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs, 1 eye. He liked to listen to country music. He was quite tall and slim. He smelt really, really bad. And that morning he'd got up early and hadn't any coffee. He was always getting up to mischief. He was a hanky-panky, cranky, stinky, dinky, lanky, honky-tonky, winky, wonky donkey. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs, 1 eye. He liked to listen to country music. He was quite tall and slim. He smelt really, really bad. And that morning he got up early and hadn't any coffee, and he was always getting up to mischief, but he was quite good looking. He was a spunky, hanky-panky, cranky, stinky, dinky, lanky, honky-tonky, winky, wonky donkey. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! That was very funny, wasn't it? The next one we're going to do is for my friend Jasper. Now, Jasper's mom said that he really liked another book, but I couldn't find it yet, but I will. In the meantime, I have a book called Tickle Tickle by Helen Oxenbury. Are you ready? Tickle Tickle, Helen Oxenbury. Squelch, squelch in the mud. Splish, splash, grub-a-dub. Gently, gently brush your hair. Tickle, tickle under there. The end. That's one of my favorites. We have another book that I'm dedicating to my friend Michael. And this one is called Daniel Goes to the Playground. Are you ready? Daniel Goes to the Playground. It was a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and Daniel and his family were at the playground with Prince Wednesday and Miss Elena. "Hi, neighbor," said Daniel. "Margaret and I are swinging. One day she'll be big enough to go on a big kid's swing like me. Right, Margaret?" "Dan, Dan," said baby Margaret as she watched Daniel. After swinging, Daniel and his friends decided to play circus. Daniel's mom and dad sat down nearby to watch this show with baby Margaret. First, Prince Wednesday swung on the flying trapeze. Next, Miss Elena walked the tightrope forward and backward. And it was Daniel's turn, and Daniel was going to juggle. "And now, Daniel Tiger, the Gorific, will do his tiger-tastic juggling act," said Daniel proudly. Daniel threw 1, 2, 3 juggling balls up in the air. "Mom, Dad, look at me," Daniel exclaimed as he tried to catch the balls. But Daniel's mom and dad weren't looking at Daniel. They were helping Margaret. Daniel felt sad. Daniel walked over to his mom and dad. "You didn't see me juggling," he said. "I'm sorry, Daniel," said Mom Tiger. "Your sister needed us." "But I needed you too," said Daniel. "I needed you to watch me juggle." "I know it can be hard when we need to pay attention to Margaret," said Mom Tiger. "It is hard," said Daniel. "It feels different. Before Margaret, you used to watch me all the time." "That's true," said Mom. "It is different with Margaret around. But when a baby makes things different, find a way to make things fun." Daniel tried to think of a way that Margaret could make things more fun. He thought until Margaret toddled over to Daniel, rolling the juggling balls toward him. "That gives me an idea," Daniel exclaimed. "Baby Margaret can help me with my juggling act, and then everyone can watch both of us. That'll be lots of fun." "Ga, ga, ga, ga," said Margaret. "Presenting Daniel the Gorific and his sister, and juggling helper Margaret the Magnificent," announced Daniel. Daniel tossed a ball to Margaret, and Margaret rolled it back to him. They were juggling together, and this time everyone was watching. Playing circus on the playground was so much fun, Daniel made believe that he was performing in a real circus. "It's time for the circus parade," announced Miss Elena after Daniel and Margaret had finished their act. "Everyone line up." Daniel, Prince Wednesday, and Miss Elena all got in line. Margaret got in line too. No, Margaret, this parade is just for big kids," said Daniel. Daniel and his friends paraded around the swings and the sandbox, but everywhere they went, Margaret went too. "Mom," said Daniel, "I don't want Margaret to be in the parade. She's too little." Said Mom. "I wonder if we can make room for everyone in the parade, even little tigers." "That would be different," said Daniel. "It will be different, but when a baby makes things different, find a way to make things fun," Mom reminded Daniel. Daniel looked at Margaret, and she made a silly face. Daniel giggled. "Margaret, you're so silly." Just then, Daniel got another Gorific idea. "Maybe Margaret can be the clown in our parade. That would be different and fun," said Daniel. "Boo, boo, 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 boo," said Margaret. "Let the parade begin." "Again," said Daniel happily, and they all paraded around the playground together. "I love playing at the playground today with Margaret," said Daniel. "Do you have a baby in your family? How do you feel when things are different?" "It's different for me with baby Margaret, but now I know that different can be fun." Ugga mugga. The end. I have another book that was given to me by Seth. And every time I say the title of this book, I giggle. Are you ready? Farley Farts by Bertie Mueller. Are you ready? I am. Farley Farts. This is from Seth, but I'm going to read it to Sadie, his little baby sister. For days, Farley the frog had been having some rather noisy tummy trouble. He had to fart all the time. When he was eating, poofed. When he was playing, poofed. Even when he was sleeping, poofed. It was really bothersome. Otherwise, Farley was very content. He loved his life in the small village of Croakville and had lots of friends. His sister Frida thought it was funny when Farley's farts made bubbles in the pond. It was like a jacuzzi. But Mother Frog was worried. He needs to go to the doctor, she declared. The doctor examined Farley, saying, "Ah, and stick out your tongue," he said. But the only thing that came out of Farley was a very loud fart. Poofed! The doctor rolled his eyes and sputtered. "Nothing serious," he said, covering his nose. "Just a case of a little gas. It will pass." Unfortunately, it kept passing. Everywhere Farley went, farts followed him. When he was getting dressed, when he was washing up, in school, not 1 hour of the day passed without Farley farting. "What is 2 plus 2?" asked the teacher. "Poofed!" went Farley loudly. All the classmates giggled. Farley turned very pale. He was so embarrassed. The teacher turned pale too because he was so angry. "How rude!" he scolded. "You have to stop right now. I'm going to have to talk to your parents." Farley tried, but he couldn't stop farting. Poofed! Poofed! His parents felt sorry for him. "Really, Farley," said his mother, just as Farley made a loud poofed right under Grandma's nose. "Why don't you go to bed now and see if you can stop?" Look, poor Farley. Farley went to his room and tried as hard as he could to stop, but the longer he went without farting, the more his tummy hurt. It began to swell, and soon his pajamas didn't fit him anymore. The next morning, Farley felt very odd. He wasn't hungry or thirsty. His stomach had grown so big he could barely fit through that door. Outside, a tiny breeze lifted Farley like a hot air balloon. There was nothing he could do. He sailed off into the sky. "Farley, come back!" shouted Frida, but Farley drifted higher and higher. From way up high, the world below looked so beautiful. The houses, the fields, the hills on the horizon. Farley was enjoying himself, but down below his mother was crying and his father was calling to him, "Farley, come back, please." "I can't," said Farley, drifting even higher. Then Father Frog had a brilliant idea. "Fart, Farley, just as loud as you can." But Farley couldn't hear him. "What, Dad?" "Poofed!" everyone shouted. So Farley farted one giant foot. And then Farley flipped and fluttered and floated gently all the way down to the ground. Farley lay flat on his back looking like an empty balloon. Mother, Father, and Frida rushed over. Croaking happily, they hugged Farley. That night, everyone ate Mother's specialty, bean soup. Later, the family snuggled together on the sofa. Father Frog stroked Farley's belly gently. Suddenly, poofed, someone farted. But this time it wasn't Farley. Wasn't that fun? I thought that was really, really fun. Okay, and I have one more book. This was my book when I was very little. It's The Tale of Tom Kitten by my favorite author, Beatrix Potter. Are you ready? The Tale of Tom Kitten by Beatrix Potter. Dedicated to all pickles, especially to those that get up under my garden wall. Once upon a time, there were 3 little kittens, and their names were Mittens, Tom Kitten, and Moppet. They had dear little fur, coats of their own, and they tumbled about the doorstep and played in the dust. But one day their mother, Miss Tabitha Twitchit, expected friends to tea, so she fetched the kittens indoors to wash and dress them before the fine company arrived. First she scrubbed their faces. This one's Moppet. Then she brushed their fur. This one is Mittens. Then she combed their tails and whiskers. This is Tom Kitten. Tom is very naughty, and he scratched. Mrs. Tabitha dressed Moppet and Mittens in clean pinafores and tuckers, and then she took all sorts of elegant, uncomfortable clothes out of a chest of drawers in order to dress up her son Thomas. Tom Kitten was very fat, and he had grown several buttons burst off. His mother sewed them on again. When the 3 kittens were ready, Mrs. Tabitha unwisely turned them out into the garden to be out of the way while she made hot buttered toast. Now keep your frocks clean, children. You must walk on your hind legs. Keep away from the dirty ash pit, and from Sally Henny Penny, and from the pigsty and the Puddle Ducks. Moppet and Mittens walked down the garden path unsteadily. Presently they trode upon their pinafores and fell on their noses, and when they stood up there were several green smears. "Let us climb up the rockery and sit on the garden wall," said Moppet. They turned their pinafores back to front and went up with a skip and a jump. Moppet's white tucker fell down into the road. Tom Kitten was quite unable to jump when walking upon his hind legs in trousers. He came up on the rockery by degrees, breaking the ferns and shedding buttons right and left. He was all in pieces when he reached the top of the wall. Moppet and Mittens tried to pull him together. His hat fell off and the rest of his buttons burst. While they were in difficulties, there was a pit-pat, paddle-pat, and the 3 Puddle Ducks came along the hard, high road, marching one behind the other and doing the goose step. Pit-pat, paddle-pat, pit-pat, waddle-pat. They stopped and stood in a row and stared up at the kittens. They had very small eyes and looked surprised. Then the 2 duck birds, Rebecca and Jemima Puddle Duck, picked up the hat and tucker and put them on. Mittens laughed so that she fell off the wall. Moppet and Tom descended after her. The pinafores and all the rest of Tom's clothes came off on the way down. "Come, Mr. Drake Puddle Duck," said Moppet. "Come and help us to dress him. Come and button up Tom." Mr. Drake Puddle Duck advanced in a slow, sideways manner and picked up the various articles. But he put them on himself. They fitted him even worse than Tom Kitten. "It's a very fine morning," said Mr. Drake Puddle Duck. And he and Jemima and Rebecca Puddle Duck set off up the road, keeping step. Pit, pat, paddle pat. Pit, pat, waddle pat. Then Tabitha Twitchit came down the garden and found her kittens on the wall with no clothes on. She pulled them off the wall and smacked them gently and took them back to the house. My friends will arrive in a minute, and you are not fit to be seen. I am affronted, said Mrs. Tabitha Twitchit. She sent them upstairs, and I'm sorry to say she told her friends that they were in bed with the measles, which was not true. Quite the contrary. They were not in bed, not in the least. Somehow there were very extraordinary noises overhead, which disturbed the dignity and repose of the tea party. And I think that someday I shall have to make another larger book to tell you more about Tom Kitten. There he is right there, see? As for the Puddle Ducks, they went into a pond. The clothes all came off directly because there were no buttons. Look. And Mr. Drake Puddle Duck and Jemima and Rebecca have been looking for them ever since. Well, that is all for today. But like I said, we'll keep reading stories until the library's open. So you have a very good day, and we'll see you soon at Storytime at the Cabin. Bye-bye. Mwah. This is my special friend Jack. I love him very much. And he's sad these days because he can't visit his friends the way he used to, and he can't hug them the way he used to. So I said, Jack, what you have to do is just close your eyes and think of your friends and imagine that you're giving them a great big hug and you're laughing and smiling. And then you know something, what we can do, Jack? Do you know what we can do? We can get one of these things. Ask your mommy or daddy, what do you got? I have a roll. I have some bubbles. And what we can do is we can send them all our love.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy DC, and I am the Thursday night host of St. John's local tradition, Out of the Fog. You know, local matters here on the show, and from arts and business, not-for-profit, anybody doing anything great to make our province a more rewarding place to live and work. It all happens right here in the studio. So join me and my boy DJ Slim Macho every Thursday night for Out of the Fog.
Dear everybody, you'll see thousands of images today. Here are 3 you won't see.
A girl who uses a walker eating ice cream with her friends.
A young woman